Welcome to the Explainer. You know, some stories are so foundational, we think we know everything about them. But what if there's a hidden psychological drama playing out just beneath the surface? Today, we're going to use the tools of psychoanalysis to unlock a completely new way of understanding one of the most powerful myths in Western culture.
All right, let's just jump right in. Think about this for a second. Why would Moses shatter tablets that were literally written by the hand of God? I mean, it's one of the most shocking moments in the entire Hebrew Bible. He comes down the mountain, sees the whole golden calf party, and boom, he smashes these priceless artifacts. We're always told it's an act of righteous anger. But what if it was something deeper? What if it was an act of psychological survival?
Okay, so to really unpack that question, we need a special kind of toolkit. And for that, we're borrowing some heavy-duty ideas from a couple of psychoanalytic superstars, Jacques Lacan and Julia Kristeva. Don't worry, we're going to break down the key concepts we need right now.
First up, we've got a concept from Lacan called the real. And right away, let me be clear, this has nothing to do with reality, like your morning coffee or the chair you're sitting on. The real, it's the raw, chaotic, terrifying stuff of existence itself. It's the part of life that's totally beyond language, beyond symbols, beyond meaning. Think of it like the static on a TV screen before a channel is tuned in. It's just pure, overwhelming, unsymbolizable chaos. So, if the real is that terrifying static, then what saves us from it? Well, that's the symbolic. The symbolic is, well, it's everything that makes up our world. It's language, it's laws, it's culture, it's the rules of the road, it's the idea of family. It's this giant shared web of meaning that we all live inside, and it's the only thing that shields us from the pure chaos of the real.
All right, now for a really interesting one, the abject. This is an idea from Julia Kristeva. The abject is that stuff that absolutely horrifies us because it messes with our neat and tidy categories. You know, like a corpse. Is it a person? Is it an object? It's that horrifying in-between space. It's the stuff we have to spit out, to expel from ourselves and our society, just to feel like we have a stable identity. It's what threatens our whole symbolic system.
And our last tool in the box is another one from Kristeva. The semiotic. So if the symbolic is all about structure and rules, the semiotic is its opposite. Imagine a time before language, like when you were a baby. It's all about rhythm, drive, sounds, and this deep connection to a maternal source. This is the wellspring of creativity, of poetry, of raw emotion. It's always there, kind of bubbling up from underneath the rigid structure of our symbolic world.
Okay, toolkit assembled. We've got the real, the symbolic, the abject, and the semiotic. Now, let's go back to that mountain and see what's really going on.
So those first tablets, the text says they were wholly the work of God. Think about that. There's no human input, no mediation. In our new language, this is a perfect encounter with the traumatic Lacanian Real. It's a pure, divine, overwhelming object that's totally alien to human experience. It's so pure, so unsymbolized, that the human mind literally has no way to process it.
And while this is happening up on the mountain, what's going on down below? The golden calf. And this isn't just about worshiping a false idol. No. This is a perfect eruption of the Kristevan Abject. Remember how the abject dissolves borders? Well, look at the calf. It mixes the divine with the human with the animal. It's a total breakdown of meaning, a horrifying collapse of all the neat categories that make the world make sense.
So you see what's happening here. You've got the unsymbolizable real, the tablets, coming down the mountain, and it's on a direct collision course with the horrifying abject, the calf. Moses is literally trapped between these two impossible things, and the human psyche just, well, it can't hold both at once. It's an impossible contradiction. So the shattering, it's not an act of anger. It's a psychic circuit breaker. It has to happen.
But here's the thing. That shattering isn't the end. In fact, it's the most important beginning. It's a moment of necessary destruction that clears the ground for something new to be built, something manageable, something human.
And just look at the difference between the two sets of tablets. It's night and day. The first set was purely divine, a passive encounter with that traumatic real. But the second set, God tells Moses, you carve them. It's a joint project. It's a collaboration. And that simple shift changes everything. We've moved from a traumatic event to a symbolic structure. We've moved from the real to the symbolic.
And with those second collaborative tablets comes something else absolutely crucial, the Oral Torah. This is the endless river of interpretation, debate, stories, and law that flows around the written text. Think of it like this vast sea of language that helps to drain the trauma of that initial encounter. It takes that raw, overwhelming experience and channels it into the safe, structured, and meaningful world of the symbolic. So, this table really lays it all out, doesn't it? The argument is that each part of this ancient story has a perfect psychoanalytic parallel. The traumatic encounter with the first tablets, that's the real. The mediating structure of the second tablets in the Oral Law, that's the Symbolic Order. And that deep, foundational source, well, we'll get to that next. But it maps perfectly onto the semiotic. It's a psychic drama, hidden in plain sight.
Okay, so if the law is this giant wall we've built to protect ourselves from trauma, is that it? Is it just a life of rules and restrictions? Well, no. The framework suggests there's a release valve, a moment of profound connection and joy. And it's called Shabbat.
And the way Shabbat is described is so beautiful. It's not about going back to that terrifying, fiery moment at Sinai, not at all. As the great writer Abraham Joshua Heschel said, it's a palace in time, a sanctuary. It's a completely different kind of holy encounter.
So what is it in our psychoanalytic language? Well, Shabbat is a ritualized, safe return to the Kristevan Semiotic. Remember that deep, maternal, creative energy we talked about? The source of poetry and life? That's what this is. In the mystical tradition, it's called the Shekhinah, the feminine presence of the divine. It's a way to dip back into that restorative source without getting swept away.
But wait a minute. How do you touch that raw creative chaos without it becoming, well, chaotic and terrifying? How do you keep the restorative maternal from turning into the horrifying abject? The answer, and this is the really clever part, is the law itself. All those rules, like the dietary laws, kashruts, they function as psychic border maintenance. They're like guardrails. They build up such a strong psychic structure all week long that when you let go on Shabbat, the encounter is safe, restorative, and beautiful, not terrifying.
All right, let's bring this all together, because this entire structure leads to a really profound and enduring tension about what it even means to be an ethical person.
So, let's just quickly recap the whole psychic drama. Act 1, the trauma, that raw encounter with the real. Act 2, the mediation, building the symbolic law to handle that trauma. And Act 3, the promise, a safe, ritual return to that creative, semiotic source. Trauma, law, release. Got it?
But this raises a huge question. After all that work building this intricate inner world, where does our real ethical duty lie? Is it inside this whole system of law and desire? Or does the most important call come from somewhere completely outside of it?
And here's the final tension. On the one side, you have the Lacanian ethic we've been talking about. It's all about your internal struggle with the law, the big other. It asks the question, have you been true to your own desire? But then, there's another idea from a philosopher named Emmanuel Levinas. He says the real ethical call comes from the little other, the actual human being standing right in front of you. Their face makes an infinite demand on you that shatters all laws and systems. So what's the ultimate question? Is it, have you acted in conformity with your desire? Or is it, have you answered the person before you? And this analysis, well, it doesn't answer that. It leaves that choice, that tension, for us to live with.